You are watching NetSoft IT Academy. 905-812-2923. info@netsoftacademy.com. www.netsoftacademy.com.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Beginner's Guide to Azure series. In the last episode, we explored Microsoft Entra ID, the core identity and access management solution behind the Azure Cloud Ecosystem. Today, we will move on to something just as important as Entra ID, that is Azure Subscription. If you are planning to deploy anything in Azure Cloud Ecosystem, understanding subscriptions will be absolutely essential or must. Well, subscription define how your resources are organized, how you are billed for the resource usage, and who has access to what resources. So let's jump in. So Azure Subscription is basically a container that holds all your Azure resources. Things like virtual machines, storage account, database, and more. Each subscription is tied to your Azure account or your tenant, which is linked to your Entra ID identity. It's also tied to your billing as well. So everything you use under that particular subscription shows up in one invoice. Think of it as a boundary for managing both your resources as well as your cost. Well, now, how Azure stores or structures resources? Well, Azure organizes resources in a hierarchy that helps you to scale, secure, and manage everything efficiently. At the top of the hierarchy, you have management groups. Well, these management groups are used for high-level governance and policy distribution across multiple subscriptions. Below that are subscriptions, which are where billing and access control is defined. So management group, then subscription. And after subscription, you have resource groups. Now, resource groups are logical containers for your resources, like keeping everything for a single department in one resource group, or for a project in one resource group, or something like that. And then finally, you have resources themselves. Now, this is the actual service you are using, like virtual machine, database, storage, file share, or something like that. Now, this structure is especially helpful in larger environments where you need to keep things organized by departments, project, or teams, or any other vectors you decide. Now let's talk about cost, because no one wants a surprise bill, correct? So here, Azure gives you multiple tools to stay on top of the spending habit. Now, the first tool is Azure Pricing Calculator. Here, you can use this calculator to get an approximation on how much a service will cost if you will deploy it in real production environment. So before deploying it in actual live environment, use this tool to get a great approximation. Then there are budgets and alerts. You can set a spending limit, a cap, and get notified when you're approaching it. That is your budgets and getting the alerts. And finally, you have cost analysis. Now, this tool lets you break down where your money is going by services, by region, or resource groups, or even tags. There are so many filters you can use. So together, these tools will help you to stay informed and avoid any surprise overspending. Now, Azure also offers many types of subscription based on user needs. Well, we can start with the free subscription, which gives you limited credits, that is $200 for 30 days only. Now, this is great for learning or experimenting on new skills you want to gain. Remember, it's either $200 or 30 days, whatever goes first. Then your subscription is disabled. The next subscription is pay as you go. Now, this is the most common type of individual subscription or subscription for small businesses. Here, you are billed monthly based on your actual usage, like you pay for your mobile bills monthly. It's the same concept. Now, for larger organization, we have enterprise agreement subscriptions. Now, this offers volume discounts and centralized billing across multiple departments. Why you get a higher discount? Because here you are getting a contract for multiple years. You're paying all the money upfront, and this is why Microsoft can give you good discounts on it. And then there are some cloud solution provider subscription or CSP model. This is where Microsoft partners manage the subscription for you. So if you are not tech savvy or you want someone else to take care of your subscription and your cloud environment, yes, in this case, you can move to a CSP, cloud solution providers. And finally, we also have development and test subscription, which are special discounted plans for development and testing teams. And then there are many more types of subscription. These are just quite a few examples of it. So now we know that Azure subscription can also manage access. Well, for that, each Azure subscription will have its own role-based access control system or RBAC solution. Here you can assign users or group of users, even service accounts, roles like owner. Now, owner role will give you full access, including permission to assign someone else some other roles. So you can play with RBAC yourself. If you don't want that, then you can give contributor role. Now, contributor role will allow the user to create and manage resources, but the user cannot play with permissions. The user cannot change permissions. Or if you just want the user to look around your environment, maybe for auditing purposes, you can use reader role, which gives a view-only access or read-only access on your resources. You can apply these roles at the subscription level, as well as the resource group level, or even on an individual resource if you want, giving you more precise control over who can do what in your environment. Or you can say it gives you a granular control over your environment. Now, it is also quite important to understand that the subscriptions also come with certain limits, or you can say certain quotas. Well, in Azure, if you want to see these limits, you just have to type quotas. That is the word Azure uses. Now, for example, there is actually a maximum number of virtual machine core limit per region for the subscription, or a limit on how many resource groups you can create. Well, these limits are in place to prevent accidental overuse or misconfiguration of your resources, especially in large environments where they use scripts or they use automation to create resources. Well, if you hit a limit, but you want to move beyond it, well, you can usually request an increase in the quota from Azure. And then once agreed on, Azure can provide you more quotas. So imagine that you have enough quota and you deployed your resources. Every resource is running fine, they're healthy, and everything looks good. But now in future, you might need to move those resources from one subscription to other. Like if the project is handed off to a different department or different team. Well, in that case, Azure does allow you to move most resources. But it is not always a simple drag and drop system. Some services like a recovery service vault, which is a locked vault, can't be moved at all. So if you create a vault and there is some items inside that vault, you cannot migrate it. You have to first move the data from that vault to a new vault in a new location. Once the old vault is completely empty, then you can just delete it, but you cannot move it. All right, so some resources cannot be moved, but most of other resources can be moved. Also, during a move process, there might be a downtime, because if the resources are being moved, they are in a lockdown kind of a status where you cannot change the environment, you cannot tweak the environment. Well, and you will also need to sometime reconfigure things like role assignment and policies in the new location. So although moving resources to a new subscription is possible, but it comes with a learning curve. So you have to understand how to move the resource, and you should do it step by step. So always check for all these complexities and compatibilities before planning a move of resource from one subscription to other. It can be done, but it requires you to have some skills. So let's quickly talk about where you manage subscription in Azure portal. From the subscription section, you can see details like the subscription name, subscription ID, and current billing status. You can assign roles, review usage and cost, and even manage your billing profile, like linking your credit card or removing your credit card or changing your preferred payment method. So it's the go-to place for all things related to your subscriptions. So let's see how it looks like.
All right, so when you create your Azure account for the very first time and log into your Azure portal, you will see this welcome page. That is, welcome to Azure, Microsoft Azure. So you can cancel it right now. And the first thing you will do is to create your subscription, because without a subscription, you cannot create any resource on this portal. So you will search for subscription and you click on add. Now here you can see that you have multiple options for subscription. That is, you can go for free trial, you can go for pay-as-you-go, you can also go for student subscription. But these are not the only options. Azure do offer many more types of subscription if you're eligible for that, as you can see. So there is a subscription for every use case in Azure. So once you select your subscription, whether it is pay-as-you-go or free trial, you click on it, and then you just follow the prompt, fill all the information, and eventually you will get your subscription like this. You will get a subscription with subscription ID, like this. And over here, you can see your cost, your predictive cost for the future. And if you owe something, you can upgrade your subscription from here. You can add contact methods. You can change it. You can do a lot of things. But this is how you get a subscription. Now, how the structure looks like. Well, you will have a management group on top. For me, it is my tenant root group. Then you will have your subscription inside it. Then in your subscription, you will have resources. Right now, I don't have any resource groups created. So let me create a resource group. You can either go to subscription and then click on resource group and then create one, or you can directly go to resource group as well. So as you can see, my subscription is already selected. I will just create a resource group called demo, and I will do it in, let's do it in Canada. Yeah, Canada Central. Click next, next, and create. So I have one resource group inside my subscription. Let's create a resource inside that resource group. So for resource, I will create a very simple resource which only takes few seconds to, deploy. That is virtual networks. Again, this is just a demo. All right, so I'll go and create a resource inside a resource group called demo inside the subscription called RIVA NITA 01. demo vnet. So I just created a demo virtual network as a resource. All right, so my resource is now created. So how's the structure actually goes? So first, there will be a management group. And then inside your management group, there will be one subscription. And then in every subscription, we will have some resource groups. And this is my resource group. In a resource group, we will have resources. So if you apply any change, let's say any RBAC permission or role on management level, well, that gets inherited till the resource level. So you can either go to management group, click on it, and then go to RBAC, or you can also go to subscription and then click on IAM, where you provide your roles, that is your role-based access control. You add role assignment. You select the role you want to assign to a specific user, but remember, don't make anyone the owner without a particular need for it. So be very careful which role you're assigning. So let's say I assigned reader role. I will select that role. Then I will select the member. Now over here, you can either use the username, or you can also put a group of users, or this is also possible. You can also put a service account. Let's say Azure Virtual Desktop. Now, Azure Virtual Desktop is not a user, but a service. Well, you can assign privileges over service as well. And once assigned, the user, a group of users, or the service will get that privilege, that is reader privilege, over my subscription. That means they get reader privilege over my resource groups in this subscription, plus all the resources inside that specific resource group. Now, before you deploy something, for example, I deployed a virtual network, which I will delete now. I don't need it anymore. So before you deploy any resource, you must calculate how much it will cost. And for that, you will search for Pricing Calculator, Azure Pricing Calculator, which is just a web application where you can emulate your environment and get a rough estimate for your cost. For example, in my environment, I want to create one virtual machine. So I will click on it, add to estimate. Then I need one network, and that's it. So let's go down and now configure our environment. So I want my machine to be in, let's say, Canada Central. It will be a Windows machine. Tier, I want standard. I want it to be the N series. That means I want a graphic card as well. So N series, that is November series, gives you graphic card performance. And I want to go for a specific instance. That's this one. And I want more RAM. I don't know why I want this much, but let's say you want a really powerful machine. Now, how many machines I want? I want just one running for 1 month straight. Okay. And I want to go with pay-as-you-go. I don't need any discounts. But if you get, let's say, if you commit for 1 year or 3 years, you get heavy discounts. Let's say I don't want it. All right, so $877 will be per month cost to run this machine. Now my disk, I can again choose premium SSDs, V2 with the highest performance. I want 1 gigabits, this size, which is very small. I will go with 1 terabyte, let's say, 1,000. One disk I will use for, again, 1 month straight, not that expensive, comparatively. Then I want a mediocre performance is fine. Throughput, this much is okay. For network, again, inter-region is fine. Canada Central, this is fine. Approximate 5 GB will be my outbound data, means the data which will egress, that is okay. My network will be in, again, Canada Central. The second network will be in Canada Central as well. Okay. 100 GB of data will go in and out is fine for me in this use case. Yeah, and you can finally fill all your information here. And at the end, you get a rough estimate per month. So with this starting point, at least you can start formulating your architecture. Then you will create your proof of concept. And then once approved, then you can finally deploy it in production. So this is your pricing calculator. Remember, you can add many other services as well. You can put your whole environment in this emulator. That is pricing calculator. Let's go back to Azure portal now. Now, if you want to set budgets and alerts, or you want to analyze your cost, again, you will go to subscription. Then you click on your subscription and then scroll down, and here it is. Cost management will have your cost analysis, where you will analyze how much each resource or a resource group, or maybe a region is costing you. But one more point. If you just created your subscription and you just started using Azure, you may not see any cost accumulated here. You have to give some time to Azure to start calculating the exact cost of your environment. Here you can set cost alerts so that, let's say your cost is at 20%, then 40%, then 80%. You will get alerts at different level. Of course, you have to configure it first. This is where you can create a hard cap, means a budget. So let's say you want to spend only $200 in a month. Well, you can create a budget for yourself or maybe for your team. Then if you go to billing, here you can see all your invoices. Again, you should have some cost accumulated to see the invoice. In settings, you have your quotas. Well, remember, every subscription get a quota of resources. Some quotas can be exceeded if you request for it, and some quotas are hard quotas. It cannot be expanded. So if you want to see the actual quota limit, just search for quotas. And here you can click on the category. Let's say I click on compute. And eventually you will see a list of all your quotas here. Now, every subscription also provides you services, resources. Let me say that. So if you scroll down and you click on resource provider, so remember, if a resource provider is registered, only then you can use that service. Otherwise, you cannot use it. As you can see, there are so many services which are not even registered. Let's see the registered one. So all these services, that is Microsoft Billing, Authorization, Change Safety, and so much more, is registered so that you can use it, even Azure Portal. I'm using it right now. But where are quotas? See, Microsoft quota is not even registered, and that is why we were not able to see it. So select it, click on register. Now, once it is registered, give it some time, maybe 20-30 minutes, log out, log in, and then eventually you should be able to see the quotas for your environment. How about compute? Again, not registered. In order to create my virtual machines, I need this as well. So if you want to use a service, make sure that service is registered. And you will find this option in your subscription. Then scroll down to resource provider, or you can search for it as well. Still under effect. Once it actually approves and I get this service registered, then eventually I will be able to see my quota. All right, so it got registered. If I go back to quota immediately, let's see if we can find it or see the quota limits. Still no. So I will give it some time. Then I will log out and log in again. All right, so it took me quite a bit of time, maybe like 10-15 minutes, but this is how you will see your quota. Now, as you can see, Network Watcher, I can only have one, and I already have one because I created a VNet, a virtual network. Now, how many virtual networks I can have in one region? Well, 1,000. I have not used any. How many public IP prefixes I have? Quite a lot. But then how many IP addresses I can have? Only 3 per region. So this will be your quota, and this is very helpful when you're designing a big and complex architecture. This tells you about your limit, specifically for your subscription. All right, that's it for subscription. And make sure when you get your subscription, you start from at least a free subscription, which will give you $200 for 1 month. Don't straight jump to pay as you go. When you're testing services, when you're testing your environment, if you're eligible for free, you better use it. All right, take care, and let's go back to our theory.
All right, so let's do a quick recap. Here, an Azure subscription defines where your resource will live. It is tied to your tenant identity and your billing structure as well. It also controls who can do what in your environment through the use of RBAC, that is your Role-Based Access Control. And it gives you tools to manage your cost and organize your cloud environment. Well, getting this foundation right makes everything you do in Azure much smoother. In the next episode, we will dive into Azure networking, which covers virtual network, subnet, and how to securely connect to your resources. If this video was helpful for you, go ahead and like this one, subscribe to this channel, and drop any question in the comment section. I will see you in the next one. Take care.
Thank you for watching NetSoft IT Academy. 905-812-2923. Info@netsoftakademy.com. www.netsoftakademy.com.